from the broadcast studio, hitting in the static. This ain't no bedtime story, son, it's prophetic. Encrypted signals from the shadows of the garden. We dig where the dirt got secrets, no parting. Microphone alchemist, scriptures with a twist. Peep the frequency, seeds in the mist. We drop bars like plagues, revelations in the cadence. Broadcasting truth while they trapped in surveillance. Wisdom with a watchman's blade. Fourth watch style while your whole system fade. Blood moons, Nephilim, echoes in the pine. Sasquatch stomping through the fault lines of time. We ain't mainstream, we ancient stream. Cipher with the prophets, decode the dream. So if you tuned in, better guard your mind. It's broadcasting seeds and we breaking the design. Yeah. Straight from the broadcast studio. Hidden in the static.
All right. Make sure we're not live. We are live recording. L.A. Marzulli, welcome to Broadcasting Seeds. Just give us a little breakdown of who you are and what you do and where people can find you.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me on. Always good to
Absolutely
talk shop, as it were. I'm the director, filmmaker, host of 33 films, 14 books. Number 15 is coming out soon, and that'll be out in March. That's the first novel in 20 years. So you can find all of this at lamarzulli.com. So there's 33 films and 14 books. We have a little under an hour. So we're just going to scratch the surface.
Yes, absolutely.
And, lamarzulli.com. That's the place to find it. You can stream all the films by going to streaming.lamarzulli.net. You'll find everything from our Watchers series. There's 2 films on Fatima, the so-called Fatima apparitions. Was it Mary of the Bible or was it a UFO event? And I spent weeks over there talking to some of the experts. In my opinion, it was not Mary. It was a UFO event. Our Watchers series covers everything from black-eyed kids, UFOs, ancient megalithic structures, near-death experiences. My late business partner, Richard Shaw, and I did 11 films together. We also debunked the fairy. And, of course, the naysayers are going, oh, you got fooled by the fairy. Everybody got fooled by the fairy.
Yeah.
So we got it. And once we got it, and this is a true story, we finally got it up out of Mexico. And we were a Saturday morning at a veterinarian's office. 3 veterinarians are there, all looking at this thing under X-ray. It fooled them. So, it's like, it's so easy to fling mud and, oh, Marzulli got fooled. Excuse me. We debunked it. And this is what happened. The thing was that the so-called fairy was laying on a plastic green tray in the doctor's office, in the vet's office. And everybody's going back and forth, looking at this thing, looking at the X-rays, and, everybody thought it was real. And about an hour after the thing was laying there, started drying out because it was out of the formaldehyde. And I go, wow, what's that? And I take the forceps and I reach down and I pick this thing up and I go to the vet. I go, what's this? And he goes, that looks like wood with epoxy on the end of it. And that was it. We went back to the X-ray. Sure enough, we saw it on the left arm, and we were off to the races. The moment we discovered that, I was on the phone to Prophecy Watchers. It's a fake. It's a hoax. Don't go with the interview. I was on the phone. This is right from the vet's office. Not 2 days later. This is the moment we found out that it was a hoax. And then 3 days later, we were up in Santa Barbara at the History Museum with a natural history guy who took the thing apart and showed us how it was put together. Parts of a squirrel, parts of a bat. It was a taxidermist hoax. So, we should get kudos for debunking it. But of course, those naysayers do what they do. So anyway, there's a free film on that, lamarzulli.net or streaming.lamarzulli.net. There are 8 films on the On the Trail of a Nephilim series, and it's all over the map, including our DNA research, which is ongoing, by the way. And then, of course, we have 10 DVDs. Thank you, Gil Zimmerman, my business partner. There it is. We're the only Christian ministry that has 10 films on the UFO phenomena. And I say that I'm not boasting. I'm just stating a fact. Everything from Close Encounters of the First, Second, Third, and Fourth Kind. Then we've got abductions, 4 people who have been taken That's not for the faint of heart. Cattle mutilations, crop circles, 2 films on Roswell, and finally, what is the truth? So, I mean, that's basically it. There's a corpus of work there. I mean, I could spend the rest of the hour talking about,
Right.
everything, and I just won't do that. So, thanks for having me on. It's ongoing. The research is ongoing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you've been talking about alien phenomenon for decades, right? So, um, how do you interpret the recent disclosures, distractions? Are they genuine? Are they what is your take?
Yeah, it's a dog and pony show. I mean, they come up with this stuff and they go, "Oh, look at this," and it's like, oh, yeah, we've seen this 20 years ago. So your point is what? And I've said this publicly, and I'll state it again. What Congress should do is go to Donald Trump and get an executive order and go to 2 places. You get 500 of the best of the best of the best. 250 go to Area 51. 250 of these, the best of the best that we have in our armed forces,
Yep.
special ops, the whole deal. So 250 go to Area 51 with the executive order. 250 go to Wright-Patterson Field with the executive order. There's congressmen, congresswomen embedded in those forces. They arrive there unannounced and they show the executive order. We want to know what you've got. And they've got the press with them because the American people have a right to know. When David Grush stands before Congress, first of all, he's under oath. And Representative Nancy Mace, whom I love because she's, it just takes no prisoners. Same thing with Anna Paulina Luna. Both these women are just incredible. And Nancy Mace goes to David Grush, well, do we have bodies from these recovered crashed UFOs? And Grush looks right up at her and says, yes, we have biologics. And, Nancy Mace kind of perks up and goes, well, are these biologics human or non-human? And he looks right up at her and goes, non-human biologics. Now, you would think that this is Congress. You would think that every pastor would be scrambling to get more information. Not the case. Nobody cares. You would think that my email box, you would think that rungs of disclosure would be flying off the shelves.
Right.
It's not. I'm not complaining, but it's like, okay, folks, I remember a couple of months ago, I was walking around my property deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains, and I was complaining of the Lord. I was going, Lord, nobody's listening. Nobody cares. And then I had this little tap on my shoulder from the Holy Spirit. And this is why I love our God, because he has such a great sense of humor. And he goes, and I'm not making this up. He goes, now you know how Noah felt. I just started cracking up. I mean, I'm not comparing myself with Noah, but I totally get it. It's like the lack of interest is just appalling and palpable. And I've done my job. I mean, we have 10 films. My business partner and I, Gil Zimmerman, 10 films. We cover the whole gamut of ufology. And, we sell. People look at them. Every now and then I get a letter from a pastor, which is really encouraging. I never heard of you till, a year ago, and was kind of skeptical. And I started wading in. And pretty soon, now I have all your stuff, and and it goes on from there. So we're doing our job. We're trying to send a warning to the church, to people who are interested. The fact that Congress is talking about it, even though it's a dog and pony show. And again, Nancy Mace said, okay, if we've got the bodies, I want them right here, next week. And of course, that's not going to happen. And our representatives have talked about this. They go in for information and they're essentially stonewalled. No, you don't have a need to know. And these people are not elected officials who are saying, you don't have a need to know. You can't see this. This is what's really problematic in our government, because as far as I know, no president has ever gotten into Area 51. Maybe Richard Milhouse Nixon, maybe Nixon was the only guy. That's conjecture, because he got into somewhere. Might have been Right Pat. There's stuff in. I had a person come up to me that was active. This is a number of years ago. They're more than likely not at Right Pat anymore, but they worked at Right Pat for a while. And there was a building that was under 24-hour guard, 24 hours a day, and you could smell the formaldehyde, and it was just looked like a regular building, but guess what's underneath, and down it goes. the people of America and the people of the world have a right to know what's going on. I don't have I have a little piece of metal from the Roswell debris field here, but I'll show it to you. Let me see if I can. Yeah, here it is. So this is the actual piece of metal that we dug up out of the ground. Thank you, Frank Himmler and Chuck Zukowski. So there's the metal detector right there. That's Frank Himmler. And here's the metal that came out in my hand. That's it.
Oh,
That's the real deal. And we've had it tested. It's an aluminum alloy, but it's in between two aluminum alloys. And we are looking for an electrical engineer. If you're an electrical engineer and you're watching this and you're near California, we want to take the piece of metal that I have and we want to somehow put a current in it and see what it does. So that's science. Just like going into a
yeah.
scanning electron microscope and looking at it. And it's right in between two aluminum alloys, but we don't know which one it is. And they don't know. And it was really interesting in the lab when the metallurgist was there and she's trying to get this thing, and she can't do it. And the excuse is, well, the piece isn't big enough. Really? It's registering. It just kept bouncing. And what was interesting, the same thing happened to Chuck Zukowski's test metal and Frank Himmler's metal. So we had 3 different labs all doing the same thing right in between 2 known aluminum alloys. So what are we looking at here? Very interesting stuff.
Yeah. The only UFO, and I can't even say it was a UFO sighting that I had, but the only one I've had was out there by you in California. I was in, this 1993 or 4. I was in the Los Padres National Forest up on top of a mountain. It's when I was in the Marine Corps. And we just were getting a light show from a whole bunch of things, something. So I love it. It gets me. So you talk about alien abductions and whatnot phenomenon, but what I'd like to see is, this is a question that I've thought about for a while, is how does the alien abduction phenomenon tie into the biblical Nephilim narrative?
Well, Jesus, see, this is the deal. If a person understands Genesis 3:15, that there's going to be a seed war, your offspring. So Jesus is in the garden. Adam and Eve have just done the unthinkable. In my opinion, their DNA has changed, and this is why they're hiding from the Lord.
Yep.
And this whole deal, something dramatic. They've taken on the nature of the dragon. That's what they've done.
Yeah.
You got the dragon, you got Adam and Eve over here. In the center, you've got the pre-incarnate Christ, who then says to the dragon, your seed, your offspring. Now, you can tap dance around that, do the Texas two-step until the cows come home, but that's what it is. It's seed, it's offspring. Thank you, Gary Stearman. Your offspring, your seed, will be at war, at enmity with the seed of the woman. The one coming from the woman, this is the first prophecy in the Bible, in my opinion, the proto-evangelion, the Messiah, will crush the dragon's head, you'll bruise his heel. That's the whole Bible. Understand that, have a proper exegesis of that scripture, Genesis 3:15, the Bible opens up. Ignore it, don't pay any attention to it, and now you've got to do the Texas two-step big time. Because when you get to Genesis 6, it's like, whoa. When you get to Tower of Babel, same thing going on, mixing of the seed. When you get to Abraham and the kings, same thing, seed war going on. Who's Abraham fighting against and why? When you get to Sodom and Gomorrah, why does the Lord destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? Because it's a Nephilim stronghold. He allows it to a point, and then what does he do? He sends 2 angels in. And this is repeated, in my opinion, all throughout the world, over and over. Gobekli Tepe is a perfect example of that. Covered over, hidden over. America Stonehenge, exactly the same thing. Covered over, hidden. No one knew what it was. They started doing excavations. They found a stone, and it says Tubal of the Canaanites in dedication. That's in New Hampshire. What is a stone written in Iberian Punic stating Tubal of the Canaanites in dedication? What's that doing in New Hampshire? Oh, it's got to be a hoax, Ole, because these people weren't over here. Nonsense. Of course they were over here. And the whole thing is, it's destroyed. When you look at behind me, you can see that's the Great Serpent mound. That's obviously a drawing of it. And what we see is the serpent doing what? He's in the process, in my opinion, of swallowing the egg, swallowing the seed. He's trying to destroy the seed of the woman, because at the cross, the serpent head is totally crushed. So Jesus warns us it'll be like the days of Noah when he returns, which immediately begs the question, what differentiates the days of Noah? And that is the seed war fully manifesting, and that's what we see right now. All this happens. 1945, you get Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 1947, you get the Roswell event. 1948, May 14th, 1948, Israel becomes a nation, which is the prophetic time clock, the prophetic timepiece. All this stuff starts taking off. You get cattle mutilations. You get, well, not only the Roswell, that's 47, but you get cattle mutilations, the abduction, Benny and Barty Hill, the abduction stuff starts, crop circles starts. So you got cattle mutilations, abduction starts, crop circles are happening. You get flybys over the White House, for crying out loud. I mean, it's like I'm not making this stuff up. And it's ongoing and it's burgeoning. And now it's at the point where this thing is, I mean, it's out of control. And there is a secret government. There's no doubt about that. A shadow government, which has the craft, which has back engineered the craft. How do we know that? Bob Lazar. You know, bully for Jeremy Corbell, who did the film on Bob Lazar. I asked George Knapp in 2019, we would love to make a film with Bob Lazar, but Corbell got it, and Bully for Jeremy did a great job on it. Bob Lazar has never backed off on the statements. I interviewed him, I think, way back in 94 at the Little Alien, before my first book was published. So I'm at the Little Alien interviewing Bob Lazar. He's at the bar, and I'm just shooting questions to him. This is before I had cameras or anything else. So, you know, I missed a great opportunity, but I wrote what he said down. I've always believed Lazar. He worked at S4, which is in Area 51. Gary Schultz was out there at the mailbox. They used to call it Pearl's Peak, and they would get there on a Wednesday night, and they'd watch the craft, come up.
Yeah.
They'd watch the craft, and they would take photographs of it. And this is why Area 51 bought the surrounding area. They expanded their borders, so you can no longer go to what Gary used to call after his wife, Pearl's Peak, and watch this stuff. But they've been back engineering it for decades, and this is really problematic because the American people have a right to know. People of the world have a right to know what this stuff is. And there's a lot of Christians who go, well, you know, why do fallen angels need technology? Well, go to 2 Kings chapter 6, and you tell me what Gehazi is looking at. I looked up and I saw the chariots of fire over the Syrian army. What is a chariot of fire? Gehazi has nothing in his vernacular, UFO, UAP. That doesn't exist thousands of years ago. All he knows is the chariot is a vehicle, and it's the apex vehicle during his time, a chariot. And all he has, there are no light bulbs, nothing like that. All he's got, no flashlights, no lasers. He's got torches and lamps. He looks up and sees what? A chariot of fire. You tell me what a chariot of fire is. It's a UFO. And these are the good guys. So there's technology all throughout the biblical prophetic narrative. This is one of the books I'm working on. And it's there. But we skip over it because we have a very truncated view of the supernatural.
Yeah. I just did a episode and a bunch of research on Operation High Jump. Is that what it's called? Operation High Jump.
Yeah.
And because you brought up the late 40s, post World War II. And what's your take on Antarctica and the persistent rumors and that whole thing? Operation High Jump, parsed in obviously with Operation Paperclip. You know, ancient civilizations or advanced tech, you know, or both.
The whole Antarctica thing is really enigmatic, and it's shrouded in mystery. Anybody could take Admiral Byrd's diary and write that in an afternoon. So there's no provenance with that. There it is. So do I believe something happened? But what? We don't know. We have no idea of what really happened with Operation High Jump. We have the Admiral Byrd diary, which is repeated in an echo chamber over and over again. So critical thinking is there's no provenance here. We have nothing except this one piece of evidence. Something weird is going on with Antarctica. Let's walk through it. We know this is factual. The Nazis had New Schwabenland in Antarctica. We know that. Absolute fact. We know that the Piri-Reis map shows Antarctica without ice. So what the heck? How did that happen? right? And the Piri Reis map seems to be legit. There's provenance for that. So
Right.
we've got Piri Reis, we've got New Schwabenland, we've got U-boats, Nazi U-boats that go missing at the end of World War II. That's a fact. We know, I believe, that Hitler escaped the bunker, absolutely escaped the bunker. And what am I looking at? Oh, a little piece of thing. Thank you. He escaped the bunker and wound up in Bariloche, South America.
Yeah.
That's the History Channel did a wonderful series on that, and that's what I'm going with. How convenient they burned the bodies. Excuse me, not buying that for a second. So Hitler escaped along with some high-ranking Nazis. U-boats were seen, Bariloche, the whole deal. So Hitler survived, just like Mengele survived. Did we know about it? More than likely, we did. CIA, whatever. There's a shadow government, like I keep saying, shadow government. So Antarctica is shrouded in mystery. You can go there in the summer. There's certain parts of Antarctica that you can't go to. There's rumors of a great pyramid that's found underneath the ice. So all this stuff is there. And critical thinking goes, we hold on to it, but we put it on the back burner under the file, need more info before we can even weigh in on it. We just don't know. One thing I will tell you is this. It's on my bucket list. I would love to go to Tierra del Fuego, the southernmost part in South America.
Yeah.
Because we know the giants were there. And I know how things work in South America. It's not like North America here, where there's probably little museums way out in the middle of nowhere, which might have the bones. Because even in our right next to us, in what is it called, Aruba, the islands in and around Aruba, there was a museum that had a 9-footer openly displayed, 9-foot mummy openly displayed in the museum. Well, this woman got wind of it and started going on the shows blabbing about it. I told her not to do it. Sure enough, when she went back, it was gone. They came in. I think it was either the Dutch or whoever. They came in, took the whole thing. See, it's gone. This is how the game is played. This is why our DNA evidence right here on these skulls is so important. The little one there, right there, is the baby skull. We unwrapped that. That's a 2,000-year-old mummy skull, which we unwrapped in Senior Juan's museum. Thank you, Brian Forrester, for setting that up, and thank you, Senior Juan Navarro, for allowing us to do it. So we had Joe Taylor there. He's deceased. We had one of our archaeologists there, Aaron, who was there, and he was helping Joe unwrap it. Chase Klotsky was tagging and bagging. So hair would come off. We would take that hair or samples of the bone and immediately tag it. Those samples went off to 3 different labs. All 3 labs declared that the mitochondrial DNA coming from the mother's side of the equation, U2E1. Well, that rewrites history. That's Eastern Europe. All 3 labs came out U2E1. So this is real science, but what it is, I had a friend of ours, Barton Laura, on a show, on a phone call recently, and she was looking and telling me, LA, you're a supernatural scientist. I go, wow, I've never been called that before. And she said, well, you're doing the scientific method to uncover supernatural things like this, because we believe that this is Nephilim. We believe this is because it's Middle Eastern. What's that doing in Paracas, Peru?
Yeah. Right.
What's that doing there? It makes no sense at all.
Yeah, it doesn't. Has your work ever caused a personal crisis of faith, or does it just deepen your faith?
Deepens. Yeah. Not even remotely close. All this stuff. Once a person understands Genesis 3:15, the rest of the Bible just unfolds itself. And for me, it's just ongoing. One thing I have learned is I'll be 75 in December, so I'm getting up there, and it's kind of scary actually.
Right.
And,
I'm sure you don't feel 75 though.
I don't. No,
No.
I'm very active. I worked out yesterday. I'll work out tomorrow. I hit golf balls every day. I love doing that. I play golf once a week. The ski season is upon us almost, so I'll be skiing soon. I can't wait for that. That's my favorite thing to do. But my hand is on the plow, and one thing the Lord has showed me, LA, you've got film sitting over there and you need to edit that before I give you marching orders. Your plate is more than full. You need to get some stuff done before you go to parts unknown. You know, he will tell us because that's what he like. I'll tell you a story. Years ago, 2017. So, you know, it's a number of years ago, right?
Yeah.
2017, we're getting ready to go to church, and my wife is in the bathroom getting gussied up, which is what women do. And I'm waiting
Oh my
in the
gosh.
bedroom patiently. That's a joke, which is what men do. And all of a sudden, the Lord gives me a word. One word, Fatima. I go, oh my gosh. And then it's 2017. It's the 100-year anniversary of Fatima.
Mhm.
And this is like February. And I run into the bathroom and I go, Peggy, we're going to Portugal. We're going to Fatima. The Lord just gave me a word. And she goes, what? And we did. We, out of the blue, we got a donation, which paid for the whole trip,
Wow.
paid for our guide, paid for all the hotels, everything. We interviewed the best of the best of the best. Thank you, Francisco Carrera, for doing this. We got into Joaquim Fernandez, who's written books co-authored with Fina de Armada. We interviewed Fina was succumbed to cancer a few years prior to that. 2014, she passed. So we interviewed her daughter in her home, which was incredible. And you know, the evidence, the preponderance of evidence in that film, it was clearly a UFO event. It has nothing to do with Mary of the Bible. But you know, the entity appeared in a short skirt. The skirt fell slightly below her knees. She never said she was Mary. She never said she was from heaven. She said she was from the sky. All that's been redacted with Lucia when she becomes in the convent, when she's 18, and then all the secrets and all this other stuff start coming out. There's never anything in the handwritten records by Father Fiera talking about, you know, consecrating Russia to the Sacred Heart of Mary. That comes afterwards. None of that's there. And people who were there in the field that day looked up and saw a dull silver disc. Since we're on Fatima, let me see if I have it. Hold on. I know I do. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to show you something. This is a picture. So here's the backstory. There's a photographer. This is what I mean. There's 33 films. I'm
Right.
bouncing all over the place, right?
No, I want to hit a lot. So there, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I like the breadth of
good.
everything.
Yeah, it's all good. We're having fun here. So the king's photographer, Joshua Benolio,
Okay.
was dispatched on October 13th, 1917 to Fatima to take pictures of whatever this event was going to be. There's upwards of 70,000 people in the field that day. This is a shot of, this is the original picture from
Wow.
Joshua Benolio. You can see all the people here.
Yeah, that's wild.
Right? Well, there's a, his name is, hold on. Much I can't. What is his name? Hold on, let me think here. This is because this is just amazing, absolutely amazing. Mercado. I'll think of it in a second. If you don't use it, you lose it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, true.
But this man is a professor of semiotics, and he studies film. So he got access to the original film, original glass plates, these pictures taken. Jose, not Jose, it's pronounced Jose in Portuguese. Jose Machado. He had access to the 12 original glass plates taken by Joshua Benolio. So he gets to the Fatima archives, and no one knows where they are. It's the Lord. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark when they put the Ark of the Covenant in the wooden crate, and they, you know, Pop Schlepp brings it down, makes a left, and it's gone forever. Well, that's how the glass plates were. Nobody knew where the glass plates were. Nobody. Took them 3 hours to find them. They're tucked up in a shoebox in a closet someplace. Right? I mean, this is right. This is photographic evidence of a supernatural event. So Jose Machado is looking at these, and he discovers this photograph. We published the photograph. We published it. And here it is. You tell me what you're looking at right there. What's this? What's this right there?
That is.
What is that? What is that?
It's like it looks like a UFO, or like a disc.
Yeah, it's a disc-like object.
Yeah.
See it?
Wow. Yeah, absolutely.
And you'll
It's
notice,
almost like it's canted just a touch so you can see the
yeah,
bottom of it or whatever.
yeah. I mean, it's just, and it's right over, the disc is right over the apparition site. So
Yeah. So
there's the
almost like
disc.
holographic.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. So that's like Operation Bluebeam.
Yeah. And it's like, we're the only people, we published the book. You know, we published a photograph of it. And, you know, I've been on with clerics and they are arguing. I just show this up and I go, this is photographic proof, guys. This ain't Mary of the Bible. And then you have eyewitnesses looking up and going, I looked up and saw a dull silver disc. Well, what's that? Remember in 1917, UFO flying saucer, that's not part of a lexicon or the vernacular. That doesn't happen until the mid 20th century. I
Yeah.
looked up and saw a dull silver disc. All that's brushed aside. And look, we're not disparaging what Catholics want to believe. You can believe whatever you want. If you think it was Mary of the Bible, more power to you. I'm not going to argue with you about that. But I did the deep dive on it. And there's something else going on here, which is why we call the second book, the second film is called Strange Phenomena. The first film is called Harbingers of Deception.
Mm-hmm.
And that, by the way, is another original photograph from Joshua Benolio. Not with the lightning, that's all been, you know, but see the sea of umbrellas that are there?
Yeah.
There's 70,000 people in the field at Fatima.
Wild. That's wild.
Watching this thing happen. So pretty amazing.
It is amazing. What's the strangest thing? What's the strangest and or most unexplainable thing that you've ever witnessed personally?
Well, I've seen 4 UFOs. I don't go looking for them.
It just happens, right?
It happens. The
Right.
last one, which was really interesting, I was with Karen Wilkinson. We published her book.
Wonderful woman. Wonderful woman.
incredible.
I interviewed her earlier
Yeah.
in the year and she was great.
Yeah, she's amazing. And we were out at Navarre Beach last year, and you know, if you're an abductee and you're saved by Jesus and you're no longer abducted, I get that. But you still, there's a residue, and you still know when they're around. And she was very uneasy. We were out on the deck. It's nighttime, probably around 9 o'clock at night, so everything's very dark.
Yeah.
And she goes, "They're near here. They're nearby." And
It's
then
like
she
you
goes,
have
and
the
she goes,
radar,
"Look."
right?
She goes, "Look," and up in the sky you see, it's very similar to this, only without the green. You see this dull disc, and it goes like this, and out of sight in a blink of an eye. It was there, dull, just like this. Way back here, though, about. No, I can't. My arm's not long enough, but you get the point.
Yeah, yeah.
It just, you know, it just disappears. So that was the fourth one I've seen. One of the strangest ones. My wife and I were in Oklahoma. We had just lost the house in the Santa Monica Mountains. We rebuilt it, by the way. So I'm in my studio here in the Santa Monica Mountains. Thank you, Jesus. But we moved to Oklahoma, and we're driving on the John Kilpatrick Turnpike, and it's night, probably around 9-10 o'clock. And Peggy, my wife, is in the passenger seat. I'm driving. She goes, "What's that?" I go, "What's what?" I look over and I go, "Oh, it's probably one of those searchlights from a car dealership." No, it's not, because the car dealership is miles that way,
Yeah.
and we're below where, you know, different elevations. Not lights from a, and this thing is pacing us right above the treetops. It's pacing the car, and it's close. It's close encounters of the second kind. It's within 50 yards, 100 yards. It's right above the treetops. And it's just a light, because oftentimes when the craft is moving, what you see is they're bending space time, right, like this, so you get the glow, but it's not an orb. There's a craft underneath that orb that's hidden, and this thing is moving like this. And at that point, Peggy goes, "I think we should pray," and we do.
Yeah.
We pray in the name of Jesus, and this thing just immediately disappears.
Yeah.
So,
that seems to be a theme with, like, you just told your story. I have a story very similar about actually rebuking an entity. And then I just talked to Travis Carpenter, and he talked about his dad, who you knew, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
knew. Yeah.
and that seems to be a pattern that goes along, is that these things will react to the word or to prayer or whatever.
Mhm.
Even before I did this interview, I say a prayer now. Ever since I did an episode with Jerry Marzinski, he gave me a prayer to say before, and I've never had an issue since. But it always felt like, even when I was going in, especially a big interview with people that are in this, right? Like you, Gary Wayne, folks like that, I would always have technical difficulties, always.
Always, yeah.
And so that's really funny that you bring that up. So like, with that being said, and this whole world is crazy, this high strangeness, there's encounters that you've had that have just scared you. And then I mean, obviously you do what you do, right? But is there anything that you could talk about with that?
Sure.
Just so people know they're not alone.
Oh, yeah.
Because it happens to
No, I
all
get
of
it.
us.
No,
Once you
it
get
does.
deep enough in, it's
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I didn't sign up for this.
Right.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
exactly.
If you had told me 45 years ago when I became a Christian that this is what I'd be doing, I would have run out of the room. I didn't sign up for this. I am a musician. I'm classically trained. Thank you, David Hicken and others. I wrote and scored for full-blown orchestras, chorals, soloists. I mean,
Wow.
I've done a lot. I was a worship leader for basically 25 years. And around 1990, the Lord began to shift the ministry. And I was only 10 years in the Lord at that time. So I've been with him 45 years. And at year number 10, I got hold of a book which changed my life, The Omega Conspiracy by Dr. I.D.E. Thomas. That book changed my life because it talked about the Genesis 6 narrative, the incursions, what was going on, the seed war, talked about all that, and of course, UFOs. And then the Lord began to change what I was doing, and I was published by Zondervan basically 8, 9 years later. So it's 1998, 99. I was signed by Zondervan in 98. The book was published in 99. So it's called the Nephilim trilogy because the third book came out in 2005. And, they looked at it like, ooh, it was not. The first book hit the CBA, Christian Broadcasters Association, bestseller list. It was on the bestseller list. It beat out a lot of other titles. So that was, really cool. But then they switched head acquisitions editors, and the second and third book, they didn't do anything with it. And they just never pushed it, and it died out. And I got the rights back, so we publish it here. And there's talk about making some sort of a maybe a film with it. We don't know. We'll see what happens. So that's the Nephilim trilogy. So the Lord began to change all this. So I never wanted to be a filmmaker. I had no inclination to write a book. None of this. Podcast. I mean, this is not what I do, right? Well, or so I thought.
Right.
Now, or speaking in front of audiences. I never wanted to do that. That wasn't even a twinkle in my eye. Now I can't wait to get on stage or on the platform and talk about our work, what the Lord is doing in our work, how he guides our steps. So we're in England and we're filming in a place called the Long Barrows. Elongated skulls were taken from these things. It's a burial, huge megalithic structure. And I'm inside the Long Barrow with Hugh Newman. And, Hugh has been on Ancient Aliens, and we have a different interpretation of all this stuff, and that's fine. But I consider Hugh a friend, and he's a good guy. So I'm interviewing Hugh in the Long Barrow. It's very dark, and I've never done anything with the film. It's just sitting in the can over there. This is why the Lord keeps going, you need to
edit some
get
film.
what's on your plate over here, buddy. So I'm hit. We're filming. The cameras are rolling. I'm interviewing Hugh, and all of a sudden I feel that fog, that oppression coming in, and I go, I got to get out of here. And I run out of the Long Barrow tomb and sit in the sunlight for about 15 minutes, just praying, and the thing dissipated. That's just one of many such instances where the enemy has pressed in. I'll tell you one more. I was with Fritz Zimmerman and Don and Dino Flowers, and we were in Ohio on a fall day. This is a true story. I'm not making this up. I'm not making any of this up. And we're walking across a field to get to this very large mound. And Fritz goes, "There's burials here." And we start going up the mound. It's a beautiful fall day. It's probably about 65 degrees as we're walking up the field. As we get close to the mound and we start to go up the mound, it starts snowing. The weather changes like this. It starts snowing. By the time we get to the top of the mound, it's a full-blown blizzard. I can't fly the drone. The winds are up. The snow is flying all around. It's accumulating on the mound. It's a full-blown blizzard, and we're not dressed for it.
No.
And I'm covered in snow. We're all covered in snow, going like, what is going on? So we abandon ship. We walk off the mound. We start going back down the field. Snowstorm stops. Sun comes out. So one of the guys went back to that mound recently, and he started digging into it. And a wraith-like entity appeared and scared him. You know, he almost had a heart attack.
Yeah.
In fact, he did have a heart attack a few months later.
Wow.
Just saying. Is there any correlation? Yeah.
Possibly,
So
right?
we have learned, and I got this from a friend of mine. I won't go unless I have marching orders. So our mission statement is to expose the deception of the prince of the power of the air and to herald the return of the King Jesus. So when we were in Peru handling all these skulls, that's something I won't do anymore. I just, unless I have marching orders, I'm not going anywhere or doing anything. So.
Yeah. Wow. Man. Where do you see all of this going in the next 5 to 10 years? I mean, we're getting stuff thrown at us from all directions, right? And some of it's, we know some of it's deception, but we also know that some of this is real. Where do you see it going over the next 5 to 10 years?
There's a film on Netflix, and the question is, why did they make this film? It's called House of Dynamite. You need to watch it. You need to watch it. It's about a nuclear event in this country. So some foreign agency fires a intercontinental ballistic missile. Real, you can't, it's like shooting a bullet with a bullet.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. And it's going to hit Chicago. And what's great about it, they show the same information through 3 different lenses. And finally, the last lens is the president who's trying to deal with this. And of course, nobody can. They go to DEFCON 1, which is, this is it. People are being hustled in the Cheyenne Mountain. This is the Black Swan event. Why did they make a film like that? And this is conjecture on my part. I have maintained, and I have written about it in Rungs of Disclosure. The last rung, number 17 on the rungs of disclosure is this, and it's conjecture on my part, and I get that. But that last rung is this. It's the 17th rung, the end game. And what I believe is we're being set up for it. In my opinion, this is conjecture. In my opinion, there's going to be a nuclear event that goes off somewhere on the planet. That creates the greatest climate of fear that humanity has ever experienced collectively. Okay? That's when the so-called space brothers show up. And they will say, we created all life on this planet. We genetically manipulated early man. We started the world's religions. We started the world's civilizations. Now it's a critical juncture in human history. We are back to usher mankind into a golden age. And here's a DNA upgrade. That's all conjecture, but it's based on decades and decades of research. And they are obsessed with nuclear sites. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
My late business partner, Richard Shaw, and I broke the story with Robert Salas. It's in our Watchers series. Robert Salas was a whistleblower. He was the base commander at the Maelstrom base where the UFO appeared right over the gate.
Yeah.
Right over the gate. And it turned off all 10 intercontinental ballistic missiles without doing anything. Just turn them all off. And Salas came on the record and told us about that. We broke the story. My late business partner, Richard Shaw, and I broke the story. Just like Gil Zimmerman, my new business partner, and I, according to Chuck Zukowski, we are the only film company ever on the planet to actually show a piece of metal coming out of the debris field. We actually show it being dug up. No other film company has that. We do. So just like, Fatima, it's favor of the Lord. We're the people that broke the story. Here's the disc over the apparition site. You can't. And see, the problem with all this now with AI, you don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah. The great deception.
Right? This is it.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. There's a couple of, because per the rules, they have to telegraph what they're doing.
Yeah,
right.
Don't ask me how that works, but yeah, they have to telegraph what they're about to do.
Yeah. And so, cause I've read multiple books as well that have similar stories and I haven't watched House of Dynamite, but I will, but similar instances. Some of them happen in the US. One of them happens in Israel. And it's all a giant setup in essence. So
yeah, it's a giant setup. And what it does is it ushers in the time of the Antichrist, the mark of the beast,
yes,
tribulation. And this is a track that we published. And, if you order anything from our store, my wife puts 3 or 4 of these in the order. And Brad Myers is really the centerpiece for this. He was the one that said, we need to do a track. So this is channeled information. All right.
Gotcha.
This is coming from a woman by the name of Barbara Marciniak. And the book is called Bringers of the Dawn, Teachings from the Pleiadians. So we're not trying to disparage Barbara Marciniak in any way. She's a channeler. I would warn her against doing that because we're forbidden to do it. And you don't know who these entities really are. So this is everything I'm about to say is channeled information. So she's in a trance. It's either automatic writing or whatever. So this is what she's saying. We are here. We are the Pleiadians. Humanity is learning a great lesson at this time. The lesson is, of course, to realize your godhood. So right there, that's directly opposed to what we believe as Christians. That's what got us into all the trouble back in the garden, because the serpent's going, you'll be like God if you eat the fruit. Ha ha ha. Yeah. And the rest is history. So isn't it interesting how they're giving the same lie? Realize your godhood? No, there's only one God. Three parts, Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Yep. And
I will never be God. I am in his little biological suit that one day he will translate it into the immortal. I'll be in an immortal body. Hallelujah. Then it says, then the channel information. If human beings do not change, if they do not make the shift in values and realize that without Earth they could not be here, then Earth and its love for its own initiation is reaching for a higher frequency, will bring about a cleansing that will balance it once again.
Yeah.
Here's the kicker. There is a potential for many people to leave the planet in an afternoon. The people who leave the planet during a time of Earth changes do not fit here any longer, and they are stopping the harmony of the Earth. That would be me and you.
And right. Yeah. Wow.
That's right. They've already explained the rapture of the church.
Yeah.
Channel information from the other side of the aisle, and we need to pray for Barbara. We're not disparaging her. Barbara, if you're watching this, we love you, but you need to talk to me. You really do.
Yeah.
Because you're engaged in something which can cause a lot of problems in your life.
Absolutely.
So they've explained the way the rapture of a church. I'm not making this up. I'm not making it up.
And the Christ consciousness movement and the whole thing, and you all that is nonsense. So I like to end the show with it's called Broadcasting Seeds. So LA, I would love for you to plant a seed in our audience's mind before we sign off.
The biblical prophetic narrative is the only book on the planet that has a thread from Genesis to Revelation, a prophetic thread that calls out the end before the beginning and the beginning before the end with great specificity. These are not the vague quatrains from someone like Nostradamus, with all due respect to Nostradamians everywhere. It's not. They talk about it. It's the whole game plan from Genesis to the Book of Revelation. There's this prophetic thread, and it's happening as we speak. So when Jesus is here, he fulfills the prophecy of someone crushing the dragon's head. It's game over. It's checkmate. The Shroud of Turin, we have a film on this, and it's where is it? I think I have it. No, I don't. Anyway, I digress. This is the Shroud of Turin. This is our latest film. So the Shroud of Turin is forensic evidence of the greatest event in all of history. The Shroud is not a 15th century forgery. It's not. The carbon-14 dating was completely skewed, deliberately so. We show this in the film. But you go on Wikipedia, they won't change it because that's it, managed agenda. In 1898, Secunda Pia took a picture of the Shroud, and he's in his dark room with the glass plates, and he's developing this thing. And this is what comes up to him. This is what he sees. And he realizes, oh my gosh, this is the face of Jesus. I'm the first person to see it in 2,000 years. The Shroud looks like this when you're standing about 6 feet away from it. But when you took a photograph of it in 1898, look at the scourge marks.
Yeah.
Look at where the nail marks are. Look at the helmet of thorns. Look at the blood issuing from his side. This is forensic evidence of the greatest event in all of history, the resurrection of the God-man, Jesus. So you say to yourself, well, what does this have to do with me? Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. There's not a special prayer. You just ask him into your heart. You believe on him who was sent. You confess that with your mouth. You say, I believe that you died for my sins, and I believe you are the Son of God. If you believe that, if you say that in your heart, you become born again and spirit-filled. The living God will come into your life, and he will change your life in ways that you have no idea. Trust me, 45 years ago, I was a new ager, right?
Yeah.
Living with multiple partners, multiple women, live-ins and all this stuff. And my Lord just went, okay, that's over. And that was it. That's 45 years ago. My life has never been the same. Your life will never be the same. Ask him in. And look, there are people out there who are struggling, and ask him in and he will help you with your struggle, whether it's addiction, whether it's pornography, whether it's you're out of work, whether you're depressed, whatever it is. If you go to him, it's not a magic wand, but he will come into your life and he will change it. I guarantee it.
Amen. For sure. Tell us again where we can find you.
LAMarzulli.com, LAMarzulli.com, streaming.LAMarzulli.net. I'm on YouTube every single day. We do a new show.
Yeah.
Right.
I like your latest stuff about 3
Atlas.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's just under my name, L.A. Marzulli. We now have 258,000 subscribers and growing. So we do a show every day on a variety of topics. So you can check us out there as well.
Amen. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
They came down from the stars, but not from heaven. They're dressing up deception in the halo of light. Silver ships in the night, yeah, they blur wrong and right. Ancient words warned us, but we laughed at the signs. Now the Nephilim whisper through government lines. Prophets wrote of giants, of watchers who fell, trading truth for technology, a heavenly rebellion. They promised ascension, but the cost is your soul. It's the oldest trick in the cosmic scroll. The lie in the sky. Lift your eyes higher, see through the disguise. When the false ones descend and the world's hypnotized, the real king's coming, not in craft but in life. Disclosures, the doctrine, the pulpits online. Preachers replaced by scientists divine. But prophecies breathing, you can feel it in the air. Antarctic secrets, thrones buried there. I've seen the lights. And I've heard the but I know who I serve and where I'm from. This isn't fiction, it's spiritual war. When the fake gods land, I'm already sure. offering peace, but it's just a snare. The real peace already came on a cross, not through the air.